This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, you mentioned Brian Gewirtz. You referred to him recently as the best writer for the World Wrestling Federation. It's reported as that he's the central writer, you mentioned it earlier, for this whole angle between you, Triple H, and Stephanie. Was he pretty much just the only guy involved in terms of this entire angle, writing and working with all of you throughout this?
I think all the writers were involved, but Brian was pretty much the lead writer. And Brian had a lot of talent because he was a wrestling fan his whole entire life. And he went to college at Syracuse University for journalism. He majored in journalism. And he took those two passions and put them together and became the best writer in the business.
I think you said a lot there when you said that. He was a wrestling fan his whole life. And I think that's an important part of probably being a really good storyteller when it comes to writing for wrestling. Would you agree or disagree? Do you think you have to be a wrestling fan to be a really good writer for wrestling?
I believe that. I don't know if it's true, but I think it definitely helps. You would be a better writer for pro wrestling if you're a wrestling fan than if you weren't a fan. So I think yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's been some stuff lately where they've had writers who just had that Hollywood experience, but didn't even know, an ankle lock from a lip lock, joked about that earlier, but honestly, they don't. And I think, how can you really be writing about something that you've never even watched at all in your life?
Yeah. If you don't know it, why would you write for it?
Right. Well, let's get into it, Kurt. We're here. The match that you don't remember, that's what we're going to talk about today. It's SummerSlam 2000. But before we get to your match, and it's important to talk about what happened before the main event. We have Shane McMahon. He takes on Steve Blackman. And this is where he ends up coming off the Titantron for the big 30-foot drop. Then we also have what we now know as a tables, ladders, and chairs match that happened between the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys. So you guys are kind of in the back, probably keeping an eye on what's going on. And you're thinking, oh, great, here we are. We get to be the main event. We got people flying off Titantrons, off tables, ladders. The only way to top things like this is maybe a bunch of dangerous stunts. Are those kind of thoughts that you're having through your head, or is there none of that?
You had to think about that because, that table, ladders, chairs match was one of the greatest matches in the history of wrestling.
Right.
Shane, he always does the crazy stuff and he's so entertaining with it. But we knew that we had to just tell a great story because we had the top storyline on TV and we knew that we had to go in there and we didn't have to do crazy spots. The reason we did the table spot was because Triple H had to knock me out of the match for a while. Yeah. So we didn't have a lot of crazy stuff because we didn't need it. We had a great story, and when we wrestled the match told a great story, and that's all we needed to do. And we knew that we need to be different than their matches. So even though they did all the crazy stuff and probably got the biggest pops of the night, we knew we had to have a very solid main event that told a good story.
So going into it, it wasn't because you saw what was going on with that. Did you think, we need to incorporate this table spot at the beginning? It was already planned and supposed to happen that way.
It was already planned. We were going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.